lovers. I am so blessed and honored to be in a position to share, tools and tips and tricks that have the potential to heal and to bring you to a place of full sexual embodiment. And one of the tools that I absolutely love and have been using for the better part of a decade are crystal yoni products, including pleasure wands and yoni eggs. And I was so excited to recently come across a brand called Wands, Waands. I met the founder here in Austin and I absolutely loved who she was. I love getting to know the people behind the products that I like to use. And I just loved her mission to really support women and men to explore, celebrate, and honor their sexuality. I felt this transmission of slow, sensual seduction in all of who she was and all that she brought to the world. So I went ahead and gave it a try. I purchased a blue quartz Emerita wand, and the Emerita wand is great because it has this like cool bulby end on it, which is designed for G-spot and cervical stimulation, but can also be used for prostate stimulation. So it's great for men and women and can even be used between partners. So I'm so honored to have built this relationship with her and to be able to offer you guys an amazing discount code. So if you use the code Leola, Leola, that will give you 15% off all products. And the website is wands.com, Waands.com. And we'll go ahead and link that in the show notes as well for you. So thank you so much for listening. And also you're welcome for the inevitable pleasure and healing and ecstasy that is coming your way with these products. Let's dive into the episode. Welcome to Talk Tantra to Me. It is such an honor to be holding space for this divine knowledge to make its way into your ears and lifestyle. Today, I'm going to be sharing a story from my personal life. I love these ones, and you guys seem to love them as well. Although, I'll be honest, I hold a little bit of judgment for myself over these ones because I often just go off the rails and just share what's really alive for me. And maybe that's why you guys like them. Maybe it's because of the vulnerability and the lack of notes and the just going into it with passion. What is a little bit different about this one though is that this event happened. I'm gonna be sharing a couple of little stories and events, and they happened on different timelines. And so I ask for your grace and patience as I bring forth the essence that is important for this conversation today. But what we're going to be talking about is my experience in going from breakdown to breakthrough, and how every breakdown that we have really is an initiation into deeper self-awareness and growth and soul expansion. Everything that is happening to you is happening on purpose, and all of your uncomfortable feelings are really markers and data to invite you into greater self-knowing and to let you know what is and isn't working for you, whether it be frustration, jealousy, anger, etc. And I'll be sharing some of my experiences with these emotions throughout this episode. And this episode I find really powerful as well because we all have like shitty shit that happens in our lives, and especially conflicts with other people. And depending on your experience with conflict and maybe your past trauma, you probably have a reaction that is there to help you survive and to survive the experience, but may not be in your highest good and in the highest good of your relationships in the long term. And I'm going to be sharing my personal experience with realizing that. I come from, I had trauma in my childhood. I haven't been super close with my family over the years, although sharing some of the tools that I'll be sharing in this podcast, as well as just committing myself to a tantric lifestyle and a lifestyle where I take radical responsibility and I see myself as the conscious creator of my reality, has empowered me to heal my relationships with my family and with others. And in the past year, I really saw, moving to Austin and being new to the city and wanting to build depth, especially in sisterhood, has been a great intention for me over the last year. And so to see how I navigated that now, and even in the last month compared to like 8 or 9 months ago, is just quite dramatic and also powerful and beautiful. I'll share off the bat that I have a bit of wounding around abandonment and rejection and never feeling like I belonged anywhere and feeling misunderstood and having this tendency to people please and to martyr and to become what I thought people would want rather than being my whole self. And it's been a journey of unpacking that and healing it. And in some ways I've healed it in my closest relationships, in my partnership with Andrew and with others in my close circle, my longer term friends, but I have still found myself in newer circles with newer people hesitating to show my full expression and to be my full self out of the fear that I'm not going to be accepted or that I'm going to say or do the wrong thing and I should just people please so that people will like me and then I'll have community here, for example. And so in this episode, I'm sharing a moment where there was conflict in one of my new relationships. And I'm actually going to share little blips of a few conflicts that I've had in the last year with people and how I handled them to actually learn more about myself and to facilitate greater depth in these relationships. And this is really a journey of conscious conflict. Now, I'm going to be focusing on one specific conflict that I had that is probably relatable to pretty much everyone listening. However, there are so many different conflicts and there are so many different ways to work through them. And this is really just a taste of where we could go with this. And I just want to preface that every relationship is different. Every conflict that you have with another person is going to be different. And so I recommend that you listen to this, see what applies, see where you can take responsibility, see where you can use this information to empower yourself to have more productive conversations with others. And I will also say that oftentimes when we're working with these deeper conflicts and we're noticing that we're having conflict that's repetitive in relationship, it's that way because we're continuously doing something like that's not working. And it can be really, really, really valuable to have even more resources than just this podcast. And that could look like working with someone like me one-on-one as a coach. I work with a lot of people in unpacking and understanding their patterns in relationships and how to expand to have more depth in their relationship, more growth, and more like peace and love as well. And then even more juicy is that this month, September 2023, the theme inside the Higher Love Club, which is an online community that I've created, the theme of the month is conscious conflict. So we're going deep this month on how to use conflict and relational triggers as invitations for expansion. And again, I'm focusing in this episode, I'm telling a few stories about conflicts with friends. And although, a lot of the themes that I bring up in this episode can be applied to family dynamics and relationships with coworkers and relationship to your beloved or your spouse, there's so much more. And I'm really excited because for the first time ever in the Higher Love Club this month, Andrew is coming in as my co-teacher. We just recorded the 1.5 hour lesson for this month on how we navigate conflict in our friendships and in our relationships. And there are some tools that are specific to working with a partner and some that are more broad and can be used in any type of relationship. But it's such an informative, powerful little mini course at your disposal in the Higher Love Club. And there's also a workbook in there as soon as you join. And we do one live call per month. That'll be on September, I think it's the 16th. I'll have to double check, but that will also be recorded too if you can't make it. And then I share even more. It's kind of like a what's it called? when I do the workshops or the live components, it's kind of like case studies. Like you guys bring me your relationships and you bring each other your relationships and we kind of case study them live. And like, how would you handle this? How do you handle someone that doesn't want to have a conversation that is conscious when there is conflict? You know, how do you find peace within yourself before going into it, etc. And so really, really juicy. If you're interested in the Higher Love Club, I'll share more about it at the end of the call, but I'll also just say right now that if you look in the link in bio, there's a link to join the Higher Love Club. It's my most accessible offer. It's super juicy. In addition to all of the things I just mentioned, you also get access to the vault with all of like the past months of content at your disposal as well. So it's such a wealth of yumminess. But to get into conscious conflict in relationship to friendships and like the story that I have today, sharing like how I've went into like massive breakdown and almost like blew up a relationship that's been super valuable to me. Let's go into it. So pause for a moment. I need to take a drink of my Chinese herb tea. So good. Hits so good. Okay. So, where do I begin? In this last year, I've been really manifesting relationships with sisterhood. And I think the sisterhood wound has been something that Austin has really healed for me because there's such amazing, high vibration, incredible women here. And that can be really beautiful. And it can be super triggering to realize like, oh shit, like these women are calling me forth in such a good way. And that's the power of community. And that's why I love Higher Love Club as well, because it gets to be accessible to everyone. But, yeah, so a month ago, I had a conflict with a sister who I actually do work with as well. And you've heard me talk about her before in this podcast because she is the owner of Wands. Wands is this gorgeous company that provides high vibe sex toys, including crystal wands and butt plugs and yoni eggs and like free bleed blankets, all this amazing stuff. And so I have had the joy of like getting to know her as a friend. And also she suggested that I, be an affiliate for her and sell her products. And I was really happy to do that. I've had lots of people come forth to me over the years and want to be on my podcast as a sponsor or want to collaborate in certain ways. And it's never felt like a full yes because I just didn't feel in alignment with them or with the product, or it didn't feel like the right time. And I honestly, for a long time, just wanted to keep the podcast free of any like extra stuff. I wanted people to come here and like get what they came for, which is this Tantra knowledge and expansion. But I felt like her brand really resonated with that. And so did she as a person. And so it was a very organic yes. And so we started that collaboration earlier this year. And we took it deeper as she found out that I was hosting all of these in-person events here in Austin, women's circles, play parties, retreats, etc. Which is, if you're interested in those, you can go to www.talktantratome.com/events. But anyways, she suggested that I actually sell her products at my events. And I was like, oh my God, of course. Like, I think that's such a joyous collaboration. She makes money. I get a little cut of it. And then people are exposed to this amazing brand and these amazing products that facilitate self-love and expanded orgasmic potential, etc. So for the very first event, the first event that I was going to have her products at was last month. And I was like, oh, I'm actually going to be in your area tomorrow. I can pick them up. And then I can also like take a look at what you have in stock and maybe hand pick some things. And like, how fun would that be? Yum, 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 yum. So I stopped by her office. I pick out some things. I'm feeling really excited about it. And she's packing them up. And I'm seeing her just like put them in a box and then like put like a little tablecloth over them. And I'm watching her do this and I'm thinking, I feel like we should like wrap them up, like individually wrap each wand. But I'm also like, I'm busy. She's busy. She knows what's best. It's probably fine. If she's putting them in the box this way, it's probably fine. Not a big deal, whatever. But I had that intuitive moment of, we should wrap those up maybe just in case anything happens. but I didn't listen to my intuition. So that was lesson number 1. Listen to your intuition. However, I'm happy that I didn't, because the mess that came through that then became the message for this podcast and a big message in my life was worth it. So I didn't listen to my intuition. I had a few errands to run after picking up the wands, and thank you for your patience with all my bev breaks. I am on my way home, and on my way home, they were doing some road work. And so people were kind of like driving a little erratic, not used to like lanes being closed and lanes being different things than they normally are. And so there was a point where I had to slam on my brakes. It was like, to protect me and to protect everyone on the road, the best decision was for me to slam on my brakes. So that's what I did. And as I slam on the brakes, I hear clink, 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 clink. All the wands in the back seat clinking against each other in this box. And I'm thinking, fuck, I hope that they're okay. I get home and open up the box, and I'm pulling out the wands, and I'm like, 1 is broken, 2 is broken, 3 is broken, 4, 5, 6. It was like 5 or 6 wands are broken. And these wands are gorgeous, beautiful, high vibrational, incredible tools. I actually have 2 from her sitting right next to me. This is you can't see this if you're listening to the podcast, but I have the Amrita wand, which is a blue quartz crystal wand. And then I have a pink aventurine wand as well. And they're incredible. I love them so much. And they're quite resilient and normally, but with that impact of the slamming on the brakes and hitting each other, so many of them broke. And they're an investment piece. They're a gorgeous investment piece. They're full, solid crystal, incredible, high vibe products, and they add up. So I text her, and I am immediately like, oh my God, this happened. Fuck. I'm mad at myself. I'm like totally in my trauma response about it. I'm pissed. I'm angry. I'm sad. I'm all like worked up, but I immediately text her and I'm like, 5 wands broke. I'll pay for them. And what I didn't realize was deep down, by the way, this is like, I think that in the end, adding up all the wands, it was like $600 and something for all the wands. So not an insignificant amount of money, especially when it's something that like, I'm not getting anything from these, and I'm representing the brand. I get something out of it, but a lot of it is just because like, I want to do a good thing. And it's not like the making money off the wands is like a big part of my business. For me, it's more about what it means energetically and what it's creating in the world. But I text her and I say, all these wands broke. Fuck. I will pay for it. And what do you do with broken wands? Like, what, like, is that like, you know, and it's funny because, I feeling back into that moment when I texted her in that trauma response, I noticed that it was my people-pleasing tendency to say, I will pay for this. I will just pay for it. And I also feel into this part of me was expecting her to be like, you don't have to pay for it. It was an accident, no big deal. We're both responsible. Let's figure something out, whatever. And so when she responded and said, oh, that sucks. It's going to be X amount of money. And I just give the wands back to nature. I'm like, fuck, and fuck her, and fuck this. And I get all up in my feels about it. I'm pissed off at myself for not listening to my intuition. I'm pissed off at her because I'm feeling like, why isn't she taking any responsibility for this? I'm feeling like really uncomfortable, I'm doing I'm feeling a lot of resentment. I'm like, I went out of my way to go pick these up so that she could make money off of these at my event, and all the things. And it totally just like so angry. I was shocked. I was shocked by my own anger in the moment. And I was like, it's not just about this. It can't be just about this. Like, yes, it's money that I'm just like, literally, it's like throwing away almost $700. And that's really fucking annoying. And it's also like, I wasted all this time going to pick them up. Granted, I have all these other ones, but now I'm also like, and now it's ruined the relationship. And now I feel icky. And like, it's bringing up all these feels. And I'm like, it's got to be something bigger. Like, I know, like in this moment, I'm so angry, but I also know that it's about so much more than these fucking wands being broken. Like, it's definitely not just about the wands. Like, this is a me thing, and this is like bringing up something from my past. Like, there's no reason for me to be this upset about it, because I was really angry, y'all. I was like pissed. Pause for Bev. So I'm feeling into this, and the first thing was I just let myself feel my feelings. And it was also really shitty because I'm about to have this big event and I need to be preparing for it, and instead I'm doing like a bunch of emotional release and like throwing these wands as hard as I can into the Austin River, the Colorado River here in Austin. And I'm like, oh, I want to be like feeling yummy and juicy and good before I host these people, but instead I'm like, oh, my feels. But I let myself feel my feels, and I was also like, I don't need to deal with this right now. Something gets to shift around this, and there's some awareness, but I'm going to let myself be angry. So I let myself be angry about it. And I realized, like, I'm not just mad at her. I'm mad about every person that I've probably ever felt resentment for, because I feel disrespected. Like, that's what it is at the end. Like, deep down, like, as I started to feel the feelings, I started to unpack. I feel like she's disrespecting our relationship. Like, she's trying to, and this is my story, right? This is my story. She is making money off of a mistake that's like both of us, right? And that feels disrespectful towards me. That feels disrespectful of our friendship. And it also feels disrespectful towards like my money and my finances. And I started to feel into, when else have I felt like this? And how did I react in the past? And I zoomed out to about a year ago, maybe a little bit less than a year ago. It was like last winter. I had a conflict with two friends around the same time over the holiday period. And one of them was because I had this friend that had committed to doing this experience with me. And so I had paid for it all out. And I was like, oh, she'll just pay me half whenever she has a chance. I'm not worried about it. She's my friend. I trust her. She ended up canceling the experience kind of last minute, which was really sad for me because it meant that she wasn't going to be there. I really wanted her there. So it was this like grief of like, now I'm grieving the experience I was supposed to have with her there. But then also she didn't pay me for her part of the experience. So then I'm like left to pay for her part and my part and take all of the financial responsibility. And I remember feeling really upset about both of these things. And I actually like really took space from her. That's what I needed in that time, in that iteration of myself. I needed a lot of space from her, and we didn't really end up clearing until a month later. And I never asked her for the money. And it still kept like this sour taste in my mouth and this feeling of like, she doesn't respect me and she doesn't respect my money. And I was feeling into it, and I was like, I should have just asked her for that. Like, I didn't even give her the opportunity to resolve the conflict or to speak into how she felt about that at all. And at the end of the day, I forgave her, and I had other lessons that came from that. But that was a really interesting awareness for me to make and to recognize, oh, I have this pattern where I'm feeling disrespected financially by these people and taking the full responsibility for something that isn't my full responsibility, and also not even giving people the opportunity to honor their part of the commitment. They say you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And this is something that I really, really resonate with. And as I've invested in living a tantric lifestyle, my relationships have evolved and become so much more juicy and liberating. And I believe that this is something that everyone deserves. However, finding these people can be a little bit challenging at first. And so it is my mission to create more spaces for people to find individuals that are resonant with the tantric lifestyle, that are really resonant with you, the listener, the person who is investing their time into living a life that is expansive and liberating. So with that, I'm committed to creating more and more safe spaces for people to discover their desires and practice their boundaries, to connect in community, to celebrate and to grow together so that we can all step into a more authentic version of ourselves and experience truly unconditional love. So we have Tantra retreats for men, women, couples, singles. We also have female-only retreats just for the ladies stepping into their divine feminine. We have play parties. We have Tantra workshops, Tantra yoga, women's circles. We've got all kinds of really powerful in-person events. You can find all the details at www.talktantratome.com/events. You can also just go to talktantratome.com and click the events tab to find out about all the latest and the greatest. And if you're wanting me all to yourself, I can't blame you. I also host private retreats for both individuals and couples. Those are one-on-one. You get me all to yourself. And I'm available for private Tantra workshops and performances. And this is great for events like your birthday or maybe a bachelorette party or bachelor weekend. We can talk and create something that will be extra special just for you. So I cannot wait to connect with you in real life. But for now, thanks so much for your patience with this brief interruption, and let's get back to the episode. So I'm tracking that. And then I thought about the other conflict that I had around that same time over the holidays, where both of these are much bigger stories, but I'm trying to keep them succinct, in essence of the time that we have to make the most of this time and space you've made to invest in listening. So in brevity, basically with this other friend, I was invited to do something with her. There was basically a holiday party. Originally, I wasn't invited because she didn't know I was going to be in town. Found out I was going to be in town and then was like, oh my God, you have to come to my event. I'm so excited. You're going to be in town. Yay, 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 yay. And so I was so excited to go. And then the next day I was uninvited because someone else that was going, basically someone that I had a previous relationship with was going because he was a new partner of someone else that was going. And my friend had shared with this new couple, hey, Leola's going to come now, just so you know. And they expressed that they were uncomfortable with that. And so then the invitation was retracted and I was uninvited. And it felt for her in that moment that she needed to honor the people that she invited first rather than to honor me. And it felt awful that, again, that rejection, that abandonment wound came up. And I felt like the holidays are hard enough when you're not spending them with your family. And like, I'm trying to build family in Austin and now I'm being like pushed out and it really hurt. And so my original reaction was, fuck her, fuck all those people. Like, do I even want to be friends with someone that's like going to perpetuate separation and drama in this dynamic? Like, if it were me and it were my holiday party, I would be like, great, like this is a great opportunity for us to heal and to all come together. And so I really thought, do I even want that? And so in the end, I did take some space to move through that. And I realized, like, I still really like this woman. I really do. And I want to have a relationship with her. And I'm also not going to sacrifice my values, and I need some things from her to feel good about moving forward into repair. So I took some space and I processed it, and we came back a few weeks later and we had a repair conversation. And in that repair conversation, that clearing conversation, I shared with her that I valued her friendship, and I shared how badly it hurt me, what happened. And I shared that my desire was for us to actually, in the end, use this conflict as an opportunity to be vulnerable. And to me, vulnerability is a superpower. Vulnerability creates space for love and depth. Vulnerability says, I'm willing to take the risk to show the parts of me that are ugly and soft and hurting, to see if you'll love them. And if you do, holy shit, like then you get to see more of me, which means you get to love more of me, which means that we have a more holistic relationship at the end of the day. And so I shared that with her. And so we sat down, we had this conversation, and I really felt seen and I really felt heard. And she was able to share more of her context and why she made the decision that she made and how she felt about it after and how she actually had a lot of regret. And she was like, I actually feel like I should have handled it differently and I feel really bad and I want to make it up to you. And can we all, like, all of us sit down, you and your ex and his new partner and your partner, can we just like have this really gorgeous clearing? And like, I never want this to happen again. I want you at all of my holidays. I want you at like all of my things. Like, I love you. And I thought, oh my God, like, okay, good. Like, I see it. Like, this, a lot of this was like a miscommunication and like it's clearing and like I feel seen, I feel heard, and I feel like I'm getting what I needed to continue this relationship. And now she's one of my best friends in Austin. She's one of my best girlfriends. She's someone that I co-create with and someone that like I love, love, love dearly. And that wouldn't have happened if I would have stayed in my, well, fuck you, and ran the other direction. If I hadn't have given her the chance to see and feel me and hear what I needed to repair. And so I thought about these two circumstances with these two women as I reflected on the Wands woman and like, what do I do about this breakage, this rupture? And so I took from it a couple of things. I was like, from story number one with the friend who kind of canceled plans on me, I was like, I need to not feel like I'm taking all of the responsibility for something that isn't fully my responsibility from my perspective. And then from the story with my other friend where we had the clearing and we came back and now we're actually closer, I was like, what if this conversation with this woman with the Wands company actually like makes our business relationship better and our friendly relationship better? And what if I shared that? So I reached out to her and I said, a couple of days after the event, I went through the play party. And the funny thing is like, I really wanted to like plan this time and plan my whole conversation with this woman. But instead I just decided that I wanted to just come from my heart. And that was what was most important. As long as I grounded into my heart, as long as I felt into the intention of love and clearing the space to build and repair and evolve the relationship, the highest outcome would come through. And I wasn't attached to the outcome. I had an idea. My idea, like my ideal outcome was that we would build trust together. We would be cool and good. And she would maybe give me a discount on the price of the wands that broke. So I wasn't having to pay like the full retail price. And then she was making money off of this mistake. That was my ideal. Spoiler alert, it was even better than that in the outcome because I feel the way that I handled the conversation, and also because I choose to invest my time and energy in people that I feel are doing the work. And I felt like she was doing the work. And so that's part of the reason I agreed to do business with her in the first place. And it's the same with my friendships, and it's the same with my romantic relationships. Anyone that's coming into my life that I have a choice around, I'm really conscious of, are they going to be able to like ride the waves with me? And like, are they doing the work to take self-responsibility and all those pieces? Obviously, there's people in our lives where we don't have as much control over whether or not they're in our lives because they're our family, or maybe we're already married to them, or we have a kid together, or like they're our boss. And like, you know, obviously in all of those circumstances, there's always something that can be done. But sometimes what can be done, it feels like it's not even a choice. Like, for example, if it's like the father of your child, it's not like you can just be like, well, I'm just never going to see you again. It's like not realistic. And in the Higher Love Club and in places like that, we kind of address, what do you do in circumstances like that? However, as a blanket, anyone new coming into your life, my suggestion is to be really conscious of where are they at, and are they like meeting me or even calling me forth into deeper growth? And ideally it's both. Ideally we are calling each other forth in a way. So I texted her and I said, hey, do you have time to have a little convo? Want to drop in on some things? And she said, of course. What is it about? And I said, it's about the wands breaking. She's like, okay, great. Do you have time right now? And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess I do. Like, part of me wanted to schedule it out so I could like get all grounded and good. And in the end, I was like, no, I'm like, honestly, like waiting any longer, like it was weighing on me. It had been like days since it happened, and I could feel that I was just like not in my zone of yum. I was like a little disconnected because I had this conflict just weighing on me. It's like, you know what? Let's just get it over with. Let's hop on the call. So first thing I did was I asked for consent. Can we talk about this? She was like, yes. Second, when we hopped on the call, I was like, I just want to share my intention with you. My intention is to just like share my perspective of what happened so that I feel seen and heard, because I hadn't really communicated to her all the things that were happening in my brain, all the stories I was making up, you know, all the things. I just kind of said the wands broke. Whoops. I wish we would have wrapped them, you know. So my intention was to feel seen and heard in everything that happened and to find a solution that felt more equal. And I also shared, and I really want like this, and I also shared vulnerably, you know, something along the lines of, this conversation feels a little crunchy for me. I feel a little awkward. I feel a little anxious about it because I'm afraid that it's going to affect our friendship and our business relationship. My desire is that like our business and friend relationship, you know, stays really strong, or, you know, builds, or at least, you know, is maintained in this process. She's like, okay, great, cool. Let's talk about it. So I shared what was on my heart. I shared what happened. I shared about how I thought that she would know, that she would know best to wrap the wands, and that I kind of felt like it was both of our responsibility, that they weren't prepared that way. And I shared that I felt like it didn't feel right that she was going to be making money off of me from this mistake that we were both responsible for. And then that made me feel like taken advantage of, and that I didn't think that that's what she was trying to do. And I shared that I noticed that I went into this people pleasing and fawn response instead of, you know, really feeling into what felt good for me. And I apologized for not saying that immediately and for offering to pay for the wands, because actually that didn't feel in alignment for me anymore when I really felt into it. And so I shared all of that and took responsibility, and I told my stories. I acknowledged it all, and she just heard it and she felt it, and she was like, thank you so much for bringing this to me. I also feel like I shouldn't be fully responsible for the price of the wands. How about we split the cost? How about we split what I pay for them? So instead of it being a $700 whatever mistake that I had to pay for, it ended up being like $140, because she, you know, she took what she actually paid for them, not her retail price, and then we split it in half. So I was like, oh my God, that's even better than I would have thought. She also said something along the lines of, I'm so grateful that you brought this to me. Like, it actually makes me trust you more. My experience of you is always being so like positive and go with the flow and light. And like, now I see like you're human, and like, I actually like trust you. And like, I want to share more of my fucked up shit with you and like grow. And like, and the funny thing is after that whole interchange, she trusted me more. So we had this deepening of relationship. Now, when we exchange the wands for parties and things, she comes in and we have a cup of tea and we catch up, and I share about my shit that's going on and she shares about her shit, and it just feels more holistic, our relationship. And also, I don't think it's a coincidence that suddenly the wands started just flying off the shelves at our parties, and also through the podcast, because I do have I talk about them. You probably heard at the beginning of this podcast, and more people are like wanting to, and to me, it's just because our energy has cleared and our relationship has deepened, just the energetics of the relationship we have is more expansive. And so that's showing up on multiple levels, which is so, so powerful. But the most powerful thing that I think I got from this relationship was realizing how I was letting my trauma response limit my relationships and my depth, and how this was an opportunity for me to really break through that consciously and make that my new norm. I could have paid $700 for those wands and been done with the experience, but instead I had the hard conversation. And I actually would have paid a coach $1,000 for the same awareness and transformation that I had organically through life. Seriously. And obviously, like, I had invested my time and energy into books and coaches and other things in the past to get me to a place of self-awareness where I was able to realize that myself. But it was like, oh shit, this is really happening right now, and I'm breaking down. I am in such anger. Why? Because for years and years and years, I've been people pleasing. I've been taking full responsibility and not holding others accountable. I've been enabling behaviors that are disrespectful towards me because I haven't even given people the chance to hear and feel what's happening for me. And that's also enabled them, or it's also kept them from realizing where they could be more mindful. Like thinking of, like, if I hadn't have offered her that, who knows how many other people that would happen to, and she would just be like, whatever, okay. And now she was like, oh, I'm going to wrap up the wands and be very careful from now on. And oh, maybe if that would happen in the future with another friend, I would offer the same thing out of courtesy because I know how people could feel. It opens up that link of compassion. And so that's the power of having these like conversations consciously to work through the stuff. And again, this has happened with friends. Andrew and I have been through this. I've had conversations with my dad that I never knew were possible. I had a conversation with my dad where for the first time in my life, I told him, I don't feel safe to tell you about how I feel because I feel like you're going to think I'm blaming you and then you're going to get angry at me and yell at me instead of like hearing my feelings. And I said it in a really compassionate way. And he was like, oh yeah, you're right. I felt like when you told me your feelings that it was my fault and you were blaming me. I'm like, no, I'm not blaming you. I just want to feel heard and seen. And for the first time in our lives, we saw each other. And then I convinced him to spend $5,000 on a training that I did around emotional intelligence because I was like, I know for a fact that it's not just me that doesn't feel seen and heard by you. I know that my siblings do and my mom does. And like, what if like all of that was healed because you did this thing? And he was receptive of it because I learned how to communicate it in a way that was productive and compassionate and took responsibility for my part so he didn't feel fully blamed for it. And everyone got what they wanted. Everyone got what they wanted. It all gets better. And I'm not saying that this is the outcome in every situation because there's people that I've had to have clearing conversations with that then exited my life because they weren't able to receive what I was saying. They weren't there yet. And that's okay. But it's also like, great. Now I'm not wasting my time and energy trying to convince someone to jump to my level of consciousness. Maybe I'm planting a seed for them in the future, but I'm not wasting my time anymore trying to have these high vibe conversations with someone that's not even able to receive it. So at the end of the day, it was all better. And that breakdown was an incredible lesson for me. And it was beautiful for Andrew seeing me in that, seeing my transformation, for this woman, and for her to see my reflection, because really at the end of the day, all of our relationships are mirrors. They're all showing us what's going on inside of us. All people are our teachers. So when I had those moments of extreme anger and frustration because those wands fucking broken, I have to pay for them. So frustrating. I was like, let me just feel it and get the anger out. And then I know though, on the other side of this, there's a big juicy steak of lesson for me. And there was. And I'm like, so excited to bring it to you guys. All of those triggers are invitations to heal. They're an opportunity to gain new perspective or clarity. Your triggers really are this like potential, if you're open to it, they're this potential awareness of how to love and accept yourself more fully. Like, the poor little girl who's like fawning and wants to just like, I'll take care of it. It's fine. I'll just pay for them. Like, that little girl that's just like so afraid of conflict that she's willing to do anything to get through it as fast as possible. And that's just helping her survive, but it's like definitely not helping her thrive. This to me was just an initiation into a higher version of myself. And I'm so, so grateful for it at the end of the day. And I want you to feel that about your conflict. I want you to feel like when you have a breakdown, whether it be because of a conflict with another person or because of something happening with your health or otherwise, that you feel like, okay, like universe, I see that there's a nugget of gold in this for me. I'm going to feel the feelings, but then I'm going to fucking find that nugget of gold. Okay. So that's what I'm here for. That's what this episode's all about. Let me know. Send me a DM if this resonates with you. Also, please leave a review as well. Reviews help this podcast become a little bit more relevant in search results, which means that more people are finding it and listening and all that stuff. It just helps with the algorithm. So please leave a review. And I'm going to share just a little bit more about the Higher Love Club because we're going deeper in all these topics in the Higher Love Club this month. So the Higher Love Club is really this space to recognize that you have this potential to be an extraordinary being capable of experiencing love that connects with a higher, more profound aspect of our existence. In the Higher Love Club, we're exploring themes and topics. Every month, there's a different theme that we're focusing on that invites you to embody the full spectrum of your humanity in connection and in community. We're going to be using tools and providing inspiration to awaken and ignite your soul's purpose and embrace a love that transcends the boundaries of ordinary. We're going to be using modalities of Tantra and emotional intelligence and sacred sexuality and self-love and leadership and all of these pieces to come together to unlock a higher love for you, a love that is for all of us and created by all of us and is like really tailored to like your lifestyle as well. So to me, it's just about realizing, especially in this next month, that your closest relationships are meant to be a source of self-growth, authenticity, and purpose rather than just stress and obligation and fear. Conflict is a gift for going deeper. It is a gift for knowing yourself more. And we want to approach it from that conscious perspective rather than being a victim to conflict all of the time. So that's what we're going to be going deep on in this month. Each month includes, a monthly theme. So September 2023, we're focused on conscious conflict. You get a long video lesson, which Andrew, I'm so excited. Andrew, for the first time ever, is coming on as a guest teacher in the Higher Love Club. So he came on to record with me to talk about how we navigate conflict. So obviously we focused more on like friendship, I guess, in this episode, although again, the things that we talked about in friendship can still be related to other relationships. But in this video lesson in the Higher Love Club, we talk all about like how Andrew and I specifically deal with conflict in marriage and how we did it while we were dating. And also we talk about like how we handled conflict with his mom and like our friends. And we just share so many more juicy examples and so many different tools. Because it's not just about like, how do you have a clearing conversation? It's also like, how do you take self-responsibility? And how do you nourish yourself to avoid conflict in the first place? Or to approach how to have more, what am I trying to say? How to like mitigate there being conflict in the first place that's like meaningless, right? Like there's always that conflict that doesn't mean anything. And also how to find the deeper meaning in the conflict. Like, have you ever been in a situation where you're like, why are they making such a fucking big deal out of this? Like, it's not that big of a deal. I've been there. I literally just shared that was how I felt about the wands. Why am I so upset about something that like, I can afford this, like I can afford this mistake. It's annoying, but I can afford it. But I was so angry. And it's like, how do you get to the root of what's going on as well? Right? So we have an hour and a half video lesson on that specifically. So many good tools in that video lesson. And then you also get a workbook, and the workbook has journal prompts. It also has a process of like, here's how you do a clearing conversation and think about a conflict that's happening in your life. And let's go through that process in the workbook. There's also pleasure practices. So conflict gets to be sexy. It gets to be like, how do you use sex to alchemize conflict and to come back to love? And there's a bunch of other juicy little activities in the workbook. And then in every month, not just this month, and every month, there's also an engaging video lesson. Or sorry, not video lesson. I already talked about the video lesson. There's a live workshop, a live component. So live component of every month in the Higher Love Club is, it's kind of like case studies for the theme of the month. So this month is all about conscious conflict. So I'll tell people like, bring your conflict into this space and let's talk about it as a community. And you can hear other people in their conflict and relate to them and get like all of these ideas of how do I deal with it in real time with the people that I'm relating with. And we all get to learn from each other and be evidence for each other. So super, super juicy on that. There's also a bunch of other resources in the community, like a book club. Every month we have a booklet that's related to the theme of the month. You're also going to get special pricing and first access offers for my one-to-one coaching retreats and other programs. And I'm talking about what you get in 1 month, right? it compounds. So as you stay, it's like a membership. So as you stay, every month there's a whole new theme with all of the same things, video lesson, workbook, call, community, all of that, but then on a new topic every month. And when you join, you also get access to all of the past content, all of the past monthly theme, mini lessons, all of that stuff in the Higher Love Vault. So you're getting like so fucking much. And it's my most accessible offer thing I've ever created. I just really feel passionate about making this work accessible to more people. If you guys have been following me for a while, a lot of my stuff has been just more like one-on-one coaching or in-person experiences and retreats that's like, it's not as accessible for people. And this community aspect makes it much more juicy and available for more and more people. So upcoming months, like upcoming topics, we're going to be in the coming months talking about things like sex magic and manifestation. We're going to be talking about shadow work. We're going to be talking about masculine and feminine dynamics and polarity, divine union. And also I'm open to like, what do you want to hear about? As you join the community, I'm going to be asking like, what themes feel juicy for you? Like, what do you want to hear about from me? What do you want to learn about in community? So co-created as well. And for founders, because this is the beginning journey. So this is especially applicable if you're listening now. However, as I mentioned, even if it's like, let's say it's 2024 and you're like, oh no, I missed the conscious conflict month. You can still access it. As soon as you join, everything is in the vault for you. So you can go back and get all of this juiciness. So don't worry about that. But for a limited time, because this is a brand new community and it's growing, I have a special price just for founders. Just for founders. This is the lowest it's ever going to be, and it's under $50. So just planting that seed. So the link to join is in the show notes. You can also go to www.talktantratome.com and then under the Work With Me tab. I will also say as well that if you do a yearly subscription, if you go in annually for the Higher Love Club, you also get Turned On by Life, which is my online course for free. Turned On by Life is normally $400. Right now, if you purchase the annual Higher Love Club is less than $400. It's less than the Higher Love Club. So it's kind of like you're getting buy one, get one free, Higher Love Club and Turned On by Life. But instead of like buy one, get one free, you get the cheaper one for free, you get the more expensive one for free. So it's such a good deal. Just briefly about the Higher Love Club. This is my signature course through the Kundalini chakra system. For those that are just like ready to be turned on by life itself. It's this roadmap to creating a tantric lifestyle, exploring spiritual intimacy, embodiment, mindset, artistic expression, etc. You can find it all on my website as well, but you get that for free as an annual member as well. So lots of good stuff. I hope to see you in the Higher Love Club. We'll also just say that you can cancel at any time too. So if you're like, I just want the conscious conflict stuff, or I just want this month, and then you want a piece, totally cool. But we hope you want to stay because we love all the people that are in it. And it's just shaping up to be such a gorgeous community. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for opening yourself up to the ideas of sacred sexuality and the crunchy topics of like having hard conversations and like dealing with your trauma response and like growing pains and all of that stuff. But so grateful that you're here. Thank you again for opening yourself up to all of this, to hearing me out, seeing me in my process. I really appreciate you. Don't forget to leave a review, and we'll catch you next week on Talk Tantra to Me. Ta-ta.